Imagine you're hiring another full stack developer now. What kind of technical questions you'll ask this person? How can they make their life easy? What advice do you have? Do you think sometimes people also apply for positions where they have not worked and they're just pretending that they know and they have the knowledge of handling the interview? Any tips on salary negotiation in this country? Any tips?
So this may not work for everyone. I had a very drastic approach to salary negotiations when I started working as a software engineer. I tell my friends this. Again, it won't work for everyone because it only works for you if you know yourself and if you know what you are capable of bringing on board. Now, my salary negotiation strategy was twice my previous salary plus half of the previous salary. So let's say my previous salary was €1,000. Then my salary negotiation is going to be twice, which will be 2,000 plus half, which will be 2,500. And that is where I peg myself at. A lot of people may find it uncomfortable because you will realize that when you start going higher, it becomes exponential and the amounts become very crazy. But again, it is some grounds for you, for me at least, to help bargain, so that I am not put in a box to just take whatever I'm offered. So that is how I do it. 2 times my previous salary plus half of the previous salary.
And has it worked?
It has worked. It has interestingly worked from my very first employment as a software engineer to the current one. And Again, like I said, sometimes it gets exponential and it gets very outrageous. So you don't eventually end up using the same thing throughout. You need to find common grounds to meet your new employer so that, things don't just get out of hand.
So let's just take an example, right? Imagine I have 5 years of work how much money I should be paid? Give me a range.
5 years of working experience as a software engineer in a full stack capacity here in Germany. You probably want to be looking at nothing less than 90,000 per annum.
90,000 per annum? Does this include Munich in your answer or no?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. That is a very interesting question. Because we all know life is very, expensive in Munich. Well, that would be very difficult to say because I haven't lived in Munich. I don't really know the lifestyle, expectations in Munich. So it's going to be a bit difficult to give something on that. But I'm just speaking in the context of Berlin.
Okay, what if I come with 10 years of experience?
10 years of experience?
Yeah.
Then you are probably heading into the managerial positions.
Yeah.
You obviously want more. You really want more. And again, it depends on your lifestyle, If you have a family, if you are single, your lifestyle at some point determines how much you command as software engineer salary expectations. For a 10 years, you are reaching for the skies.
Let's say if you are that guy who has reached 10 years, how much would you expect from your employer?
If I want to go back to my strategy, not every employer will be able to afford. But with 10 years experience as myself, not married, even though with a little family to feed back home, that should not be less than 150.
150,000 per annum?
Per annum, yeah.
Okay.
And this is again within the German market, because if you were in the US market, oh my God, yeah, it's definitely more than that.
Right. Why do you think when people apply for jobs, what are some of the common reasons they get rejected for?
Common reasons they get rejected for? Well, the very first thing is the ATS system. So your CV gets rejected even before you are given the opportunity to defend yourself. The very first point of contact is your CV. If your CV is not, German standard CV, you are not highlighting your strength on your CV, you are not putting out there what the employer needs to see, or the HR or whoever, whichever human entity takes the first look at your CV needs to see, then you are setting yourself up for failure. So yeah, the very first thing, how your CV looks for the ATS system, and then for a human being, how do they see your CV? So it's definitely your CV first, before even you are called to defend yourself or defend your CV.
Do you think sometimes people also apply for positions where they have not worked and they're just pretending that they know and they have the knowledge of handling the interview?
Okay. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Seems like you've done it as well.
Not me. Not me. So I have this policy. My CV should always reflect who I am.
Nice.
I don't want to be in a situation where you take my CV, you ask me about a particular software technology or a project I've worked on, or I say I have worked on, and I am not able to defend it.
Yeah.
I hate it. So my policy is everything on my CV reflects who I am, and there's never anything you can catch me off guard with on my CV. But I have friends who have applied to positions that they knew absolutely nothing about, and I have one friend in particular who is not to be named, who has always made it through such jobs, always gets the job because he has this interesting way of doing it. He sits up a week before, tries to brainstorm everything he should know about that position, and goes in for the interview. And he is a good talker. He will sweet talk you out of the softest or the tightest spots you put him. So he always gets the job. He gets in, gets his first 3 months salary, 4 months salary, notices that, no, I bit more than I can chew, and then he goes out again.
Okay.
And he goes to the next challenge. And it always works for him. I don't know how he does it, it always works for him. Yeah. So definitely there are people who do that. But is it the best? I don't think so, because you are creating an image of yourself out there which is false. You are putting yourself on the market as an imposter. There's already enough imposter syndrome going on within the software engineering space, and if you add this to it, you are just messing up yourself for the future. But if it works for you, hey, who am I to complain? Yeah.
If you were to redo everything what you've done, and let's say I ask you, you have to find a new job from tomorrow, how would you go about that? What will be your first, second, third steps into this process?
Getting a new job, for me, the most important thing will be salary expectation. I'll look for something that obviously gives me more money than I'm taking now, and somewhere that there's peace of mind, because peace of mind is very much underestimated, especially in the context of a team. And it's very important for me to know that this company, this team has my best interest at heart and has that peace of mind that I need to function really well within that company. So for me, my first point of contact, look for a better salary expectation, find out how the team works and the dynamics within the team, whether they gel, whether they don't gel, and these are the very two important things for me. Yeah.
If there are some job seekers who are watching us now, what do you want to tell them? How can they make their life easy, get started here? What advice do you have?
The first thing I would say is know your stuff. Know your stuff to the extent that in an interview, the interviewer gets tired asking you questions that they think you don't know anything about. So know your stuff, because if your fundamentals are weak, the interview will expose you. So it's very critical that you know what you are getting yourself into, because usually the love for the job keeps you going. If you do not love what you are doing, then you are just setting yourself up for failure. So very important is to know your stuff, and also be sure you love what you are getting yourself into.
When it comes to technical stuff, right? Imagine you're hiring another full stack developer now. What kind of technical questions you'll ask this person?
Well, that would be very subjective, depending on the field that the person is applying for.
Help me create a scenario and then a question.
Let's say technical questions, back-end engineering, Java. One very important area will be multi-threading. What is your knowledge on multi-threading? And very basic things like variable types, primitives and objects. What are the differences? In what instances would you use primitives to improve performance in your back-end software application? Topics like networking, because you just cannot know back-end engineering without networking. It's sometimes a bit strange that you need to know networking, some bit of networking at least, to get your back-end applications up and running, because you are not building a standalone application that will stand alone for life. You are definitely going to talk to other systems, so you should have some idea on software networking. And so my questions to any full stack engineer that I will be hiring would definitely be around networking, multi-threading, improving performance in a software application, how to easily get a software application from conception stage, development stage, to deployment stage within the shortest possible time, and making sure that the client is okay with whatever product you put out there. This means testing, your knowledge on testing. How do you go about with your software testing, unit testing, integration testing, network testing, black box, white box, you know how we put it. And all these things come together to give a very strong profile about who you are and how you handle your software engineering skills. So these are, let me say, basic questions that I would ask a very new full stack engineer.